Good evening. Good evening. Tonight we're going to take a look at doing a little ride height adjustment on the Pro R. Basically, there's nothing new here. That's been covered on many other channels, but I've never seen actually the factory springs adjusted on any YouTube channels that I found for the stock Walker Evans shocks and springs. So I'm going to give them a little dial, see if I can get something out of that. That tender spring doesn't have a whole heap of give in it, but it's the front is sitting at an atrocious 13¼ inches. That's pretty darn low, even by any machine standards. So I believe stock on the new springs from factory, it's 16 inches. So I'm going to try and gain a little bit of that back. Eventually would like a spring kit. Maybe that'll happen, this year. We'll see. But needless to say, we'll try and get what we can get out of these. And it's not that it's riding bad. It's just that it's low. I mean, I'm bottoming it out in places that typically I shouldn't. But anyways, the rears have a whole heap of adjustment. They're barely even really turned. So again, that was factory setup. So we'll see. The rear wasn't as bad as the front. It's sagging about 1 inch from factory. So I will try and gain that back and maybe dial them up a little bit more and go from there. So we'll see what we can get, and I'll remeasure after I'm done. Okay, worth noting a couple quick things. I didn't get a spanner wrench in my with the purchase of the machine, so I know they're not really that expensive. But ultimately, once you unload the suspension by either jacking it up or compressing the springs, which I don't have, the adjustment ring is actually relatively easy to turn. But in the jam on the Polaris, anyways, on a Razor, and an old 7mm Allen key will work pretty good. It fits pretty tight and adjusts pretty easy. So that's what I'm using. Another worthwhile note is, from what I understand, adjusting the suspension on the front is a 1:2 ratio, meaning every inch I adjust down, it should raise it 2 inches. So we'll see if that holds true. I was almost 4 inches below stock height, so I'm going to adjust it 2 full inches. So we'll see how that works. The rear is apparently a 1:1 ratio. So for every inch, it's just 1 inch height. So that should be relatively easy once I get back here. Okay, so not too difficult, a little time consuming, just due to the tight spot in there and on the front. The back had a little more room, but yeah, ended up going 1.75 inches on the front. It's supposed to be a 2:1 ratio, like I said earlier, so it was really only like 3.5 inches shy of the stock ride height. So I'm hoping I got that back at minimum. I should actually be a little higher because I'm running a bigger tire than stock, but even if I can get back to 16, that'll be great. I think I'll notice a difference there. The back, I did 2 inches full. Again, supposed to be 1:1 at the back. So I'm hoping I gained 2 there, which should be more in line with where I should be with the 35s on. But moment of truth, I will go ahead and measure now. All right, this may be difficult to see, but this is where I measured from before. So I actually gained, well, the better part of 2¾ inch. I'm at 18¾ which I was just at, well, 15¾ before, so I almost gained 3 inches. Now, I'm sure that'll settle more. I'm going to go ahead and do the front now, see where we're at. But I did, important to note, after you do a spring adjustment like that, this is common knowledge, but anybody following the channel might be new. You definitely got to go roll the machine back and forth. With a machine this size, I actually started it and drove it out back and forth 3 or 4 times to settle the shocks, settle the springs down to normal ride height. When you first take it off the jack, it's definitely sits way higher than it should once the springs are settled. So, little side note. I'm going to try and get the front now on camera. We'll see. Well, we'll see if you guys will be able to see this. I'm going to measure it at the exact same spot I measured it before I did the adjustment. And ta-da! Yes, we are now at 16.5 inches at the skid plate right behind the lower A-arm. And that's where, well, that's where I measured it. So as long as you're measuring it at the same spot each time, obviously you're going to get a more accurate representation. So by cranking the front 1 3/4 inches, I gained exactly the 3 inches I was missing. So this should greatly help traverse the rough stuff, not bottom out quite as much. And yeah, so pardon my, grab the camera here. So yeah, success. Yeah, I'm really happy with how that turned out. That should do me until, we'll flip the camera around on the old creeper. That should do me until I get some spring kit, maybe later this year or whenever. So yeah, spring adjustment worked. We'll see how long it lasts. That'll be the next big thing. These Pro Rs I see by the forums, the springs can bag out. This one with over 3,000 kilometers, I'm sure is feeling it. So anyways, project complete for tonight. I can't wait to give it a little test ride. So talk soon. Cheers, guys.